Well, time to review Texas Motor Speedway, but in this race there was nothing ass about it. It was actually pretty decent racing for Texas Motor Speedway standards, but I still think they gotta blow up the track, reconfigure it, not into super speedway, but into regular track. But today's race was pretty decent in my opinion, so let's go ahead and review this one because I was there in person. Hey guys, NASCAR Mobile for to get back again. We're back to another episode of NRR. In today's video, we're going to be reviewing the 2022, oh my god, it's a long name, what is it again? The EchoPark, no, not EchoPark, Autotrader EchoPark Automotive 500 from Texas Motor Speedway. And there's a football game going on. Let me check what happened. Man, if you're a 49ers fan, you cannot be happy right now. Jimmy Garoppolo. Anyway, back to what I was talking about. We're going to be reviewing today's race. I was there in person. It was pretty decent. The rain came out of nowhere for some reason. It was hot as hell. I tried to stay hydrated. My freaking Sprite bottle, my water, all went warm within 50 laps of the race, and I was not happy about that. But I got some nice cold lemonade, so that was good. But this was a really interesting race. Started in the day, ended at night. We have a lot to talk about, so we're going to review our top 10 drivers. We're going to rate the race, talk about our biggest story of the race, which were like certain drivers that had playoff issues, and then look at our drivers of the day, and end it off looking at the playoff cut line coming out of Texas and going into the second race of the round of 12, Talladega, which would be a big wild card race right there. So let's go ahead and dive on into this review. Finishing in first was Tyler Reddick. Congrats to Tyler Reddick for getting his third career win, third of the season. Congrats to him. And also the fourth non-playoff driver to win a playoff race. So no playoff driver has won a playoff race yet. They're 0 for 4 right now, so we'll see what happens at Talladega. Because it would be so weird if we have non-playoff drivers win non-playoff races, but when we go to like a track like Talladega, a playoff driver will win. I don't know. But anyway, Tyler Reddick gets the win here today. His third win, first win on a mile and a half. Heck, he almost won at Texas back in 2020 against his teammate Austin Dillon, but Dillon got the stretch over him. But this time, Reddick takes it in Texas. I don't know how Richard Childress feels about that. I guess he's happy a little, but congrats to Tyler Reddick in the 8 car. Definitely one of the best non-playoff drivers all day long. Was really consistent. I was really scared if he was going to have some tire issue, because he did even say with about 5 laps to go he had some vibration in the car, but good thing he was able to last it and able to get the win. So congrats to Tyler Reddick and the number 8 team. Now let's move on to P2. And finishing in runner-up was Joey Logano, the highest finishing playoff driver in today's race. Heck, he freaking DNF'd in this race a year ago back in the round of 8 with an engine failure, but this time was definitely one of the strongest Fords out there, especially late in this race. Early in the race, Logano did look like he had a strong car, about top 10, but throughout the race, looked like he got even stronger. Looked like he had a top 5 or a car that could compete for the win. I thought he was going to have a nice little battle and hunt down Tyler Reddick, but just was not strong enough to catch the number 8 car. But a nice solid finish for Joey Logano and the number 22 team. Definitely some good momentum for them going into the next race at Talladega. They just got to keep things clean there, and Logano's a pretty good plate racer, so that should be a good race for them. But all in all, a really decent race for the number 22 team compared to other drivers that had a lot of issues today. Shout out to Justin Haley getting a third place finish, his first top 10 since the second Atlanta race, his first top 5 since he got third in the Goodyear 400 earlier this year. What a race it was for Justin Haley. Started P31 earlier in this race, and then with all the other drivers having their issues, he was able to gain throughout the rest of the field, and was actually pretty competitive. He beat drivers like Ryan Blaney, Chase Briscoe, Eric Jones, William Byron, Brad Keslowski, the driver who started on pole today. He had a really good race throughout the mid portion and towards the end, so really good race right there for Justin Haley and the number 31 team. Shout out to them. I just literally cannot wait to see what they could do next year. I feel like they'll be more competitive, possibly a driver that could contend to see if they can make the playoffs, but a nice little run for the number 31 team for Colleague. Finishing in fourth was Ryan Blaney. A really solid race for Ryan Blaney and the 12 team. First round was a bit iffy for them. Got 13th at Darlington, able to get 9th at Kansas, but then finished 30th in the Bass Pro Shops night race at Bristol, almost seeking elimination, but they were able to make it through on points and gets a nice solid 4th place finish here today. First top 5 since Michigan late in the summer. So really good finish overall for the number 12 team. Definitely looked like one of the strongest cars out there today, especially since he won the All-Star race earlier this year at Texas. So really nice finish for Ryan Blaney, the 12 team, going into Talladega. I feel like they should do really good on the restrictor plate, but they had a really nice solid race, and nothing else really to say. Just a nice clean race for the number 12 Penske team. And rounding out the top 5 and 5th was Chase Briscoe. Gets his first top 10. Hell, his first top 5 since the Coke 600 back in May. It has been a long time coming for them, because like his best finish since then was probably like 13th or something. But finally, Chase Briscoe is back inside the top 10. Really good finish for them. They started all the way in the back near where Justin Haley was. Started P30, and really, even though they had some circumstances go their way with some other drivers being out of the race, he actually had a pretty strong car that was able to compete and stay up inside the top 5, top 10. So really props to Chase Briscoe and his team for bringing a fast car. Well, it wasn't really fast for qualifying, but fast throughout the race. So really good race for Chase Briscoe and the 14 team. They're definitely underdogs coming into the playoffs, and I didn't really see them make it through the first round, and I don't really see them making it through the second round, but it's a possibility if Talladega can be on their side, and Briscoe's pretty good at road courses, so it could line up pretty good for the number 14 team. So really good race for Chase Briscoe and the 14 team after 3 of his SHR teammates had issues today. Finishing in 6th was Eric Jones. Eric Jones with another strong finish here today. Even though, like I said, with Chase Briscoe, circumstances came into their way, Eric Jones still had a really fast car. He was running in the top 10, top 15 for most of this race. Started P27, so really good finish for the number 43 team for Petty GMS. Literally, watch out for this team next season. Watch out for him, and heck, maybe watch out for Noah Gragson as well. I know it's going to be his first full-time year in the Cup Series, but watch out for both of these Petty GMS cars. I really think they could both make some noise in 2023. So a nice solid finish for Eric Jones and the 43 team. Let's see if they can get their redemption at Talladega next week. Finishing 7th was William Byron. William Byron also had a really strong car here today. Started P3 earlier in the race, and actually just had a really strong car throughout the top 5, top 10, even top 15 a couple times. So really good finish for Byron in the 2014. 4 straight top 10 finishes. They are definitely on a hot streak since the playoffs started, and they had a bit of a confrontation with Denny Hamlin a little bit. We'll get into that a little bit later, but they both made some contact throughout the race, and Byron kind of made a bit of a move that was not really necessary, and they've talked in their post-race interview, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But hopefully that all gets sorted out. Byron doesn't need an enemy right now, especially if he's on a hot streak, so you don't want Hamlin messing up your playoffs. And it's Talladega, so something could happen there, or the Roval. We saw what Harvick did to Chase Elliott there last year, but we'll see. But overall, really good finish for Byron. Even though Hamlin kind of bent the toe link off their car, it was not as strong as it was before, so at least they're able to manage their way for a top 10 finish. Finishing in 8th was Brad Keselowski. Honestly, these last few races have been pretty good for Brad K. Literally, 2 top 10 finishes in the last 4 races. I see that as an absolute win for Brad K after the struggles they've been having all season long. But really cool for him to also even get the pole yesterday. So really good for Brad Keselowski and RFK as well. 2 strong weeks in a row for both cars. Well, mostly the 6th car. Buescher had a couple of issues today, but really good for Brad Keselowski to get an 8th place finish. Heck, he had a speeding penalty earlier in this race, and he actually didn't really recover from it until I believe in some portion of the second stage. So really cool for him to come back from that and get a nice solid top 10 finish to cap off this day. Finishing in 9th was Kyle Larson. 3 straight top 10 finishes for Larson and the 5 team. They're on a little bit of a hot streak right now as well. But a really strong, pretty mid-race for them, actually, in my opinion. I feel like Kyle Larson could have done a little bit better, but I guess they managed with what they managed. They weren't the fastest car in qualifying. They qualified 9th in this race and finished 9th in this race. So it was a pretty decent race, I guess. A nice, quiet day for Kyle Larson. I'm pretty sure he's just glad to come out of Texas with no issues. So they're going into Talladega, one of their worst tracks on record, so hopefully they can escape out of that one, and so they can head on over to the Roval and possibly get a nice solid finish there. But mostly quiet day for Kyle Larson and the 5 team, so good finish for them. And rounding out the top 10 in 10th is Denny Hamlin. And likewise with William Byron, 4 straight top 10 finishes for Hamlin. And we already talked about a little bit of what happened. Hamlin kind of got up into William Byron a little bit, kind of ran him up the racetrack, ran him out of room. Byron went into the wall. He said that after the contact, it kind of bent the toe link. And then under caution after the Kevin Harvick spin, Byron kind of bumped into the back of Hamlin. He said he did it on purpose, but he didn't mean to like completely spin out Denny Hamlin. And Hamlin wasn't really happy about that. Kind of was running into William Byron a little bit during like pace laps. And Kyle Busch even pointed out on Twitter that this wasn't a penalty. And Kyle Busch even shrugged and said, "Depends on who you are," because you know. Apparently to some of these NASCAR fans that Hendrick is the most likable, Joe Gibbs is not. So if a Joe Gibbs driver did this to a Hendrick driver, the Joe Gibbs car would get penalized, but if Hendrick does this to Joe Gibbs, they don't get penalized. That's just how it's been from NASCAR fans. Just maybe even some other NASCAR drivers, especially JGR drivers, but I don't know what NASCAR was thinking. They should have penalized William Byron, because under caution, you're not supposed to even wreck anybody, so that was kind of dumb right there. They should have post him like a lap or two, put him a lap or down too. So I don't know. That's NASCAR's decision, but Hamlin wasn't happy about it. He even said he couldn't even get payback to William Byron. So we'll see. The Roval's coming up in 2 weeks, and something could happen there. So let's just wait and see what happens there. But top 10 finish overall for Hamlin and his team. So now let's rate this race. Last year I gave the Texas race a 6.5 out of 10. It was a pretty decent race for Texas standards. But this race was a little bit better. There was a little bit more drama, a little bit better racing than we've seen. Definitely so much better than the All-Star race. But the thing that kind of let me down was we did have some dry portions here and there. There were a lot of wrecks towards the end. And then the red flag for the rain kind of ruined it a little bit. I was just sitting under the grandstands eating chicken tenders. And the chicken tenders at Texas, they're not bad. They're not bad. But I'm not a barbecue person, so I'm not going to go out of my way to eat that. But still, it was pretty decent, a little bit better, like I said, than last year. So if I had to rate this race, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Just solid race, decent. Texas is Texas. I still want them to reconfigure it back to the old Texas. I do not want Super Speedway Texas Atlanta. I know that the new Atlanta puts in a lot of viewership, but we do not need 7, 8 Super Speedways and stuff. So let's just not go that far. But I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Let me know what you guys would give it in the comment section below. So biggest story of the race is the playoff drivers who had issues today. Starting off with Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott was leading at one point, and then I'm pretty sure, I think he either had a tire go down or he just kind of got loose, smacked the outside wall in the turn 4, and literally lit up a fire on the side of his car. Luckily, he got out of thing ASAP, and that was just the end of it. Really sucked for Chase Elliott. And another thing I just want to talk about is that a lot of these incidents today had to do with like the race leaders, so I'm not sure what kind of issue it is. Like we had issues with turn 3 and 4, issues with the race leader. I'm not sure what Texas is turning into, so I don't know. Even like a Bowman fan was talking about they really need to change Texas because turn 3 and 4 kind of has that bump, but I'm not really sure that's kind of what took Bowman out of it, because like the track was also really hot and slick earlier in the day, so that could be another thing. But speaking of Bowman, he kind of slid, kind of got loose. I'm not sure. I think the car just like went around on him and he hit the wall pretty hard. He said that was like the hardest hit he took on the car, and his spotter Kevin Hamlin agreed like that's like the worst part of the car to hit, and so that kind of took Bowman out of the race. He was still able to run out there, but only was able to finish, I believe, like 28th or 29th. So that does suck for the 48 team, because we'll talk about the playoff standings later, but it is a really bad deal for them. And not only for them, also Christopher Bell, 2 issues today. He had a tire issue go down at one point, and then Cole Custer had an issue behind him as well. And then later throughout the race, Bell got back into the wall, and that point, that took him out of the race because of the DVB clock. They couldn't fix it in time, and so Bell had a DNF. And then later, Austin Cindric kind of spun down the backstretch late in the race, and that kind of took him out of contention for a nice top 10 finish that he could have got, and ended up getting a 15th place finish instead. And then Chastain finished in 13th. He had a little bit of an issue. I think he had a little bit of left front damage from some kind of contact from a caution. I can't really remember, but he had a bit of an issue. He looked like he could have had a nice top 10 finish, but ends up finishing P13. So those were the 5 playoff drivers who all had issues today. Now let's talk about our drivers of the day. For unlucky driver of the day, you gotta feel for Kyle Busch. Finishes dead last. Also, 18 times 2 is 36, though that was dead last for Kyle Busch. But he kind of got loose, I'm pretty sure, at one point. Turn 3 and 4 was a whole lot of issues for a lot of drivers like him. His teammate Truex, already said Alex Bowman, Christopher Bell, and a whole lot of other drivers. He was taken out of the race earlier. Man, not one of Kyle Busch's best mile-and-a-half racetracks on his record. That just really sucks. He just cannot catch a break. 3 out of the last 4 races Kyle Busch has had a DNF. It has just not been it for him. Just not the way he wants to go for Joker's Racing. I mean, still have some few races left, but oh man, I think Kyle Busch just wants to end it. Just end the season at this point for him. For comeback driver of the day, I'm going to give it to Brad K, because he started on pole. He had a pit road penalty. I think he was speeding on pit road earlier in the race. It took him a while to come back from that, because I'm pretty sure he was like a lap down and had to start at the tail end. And then I said around like midway point of second stage, was able to come back from that and was able to run inside the top 10, top 5, and was able to get a nice solid 8th place finish. So got to give it to Brad Keselowski and the 16. Underdog driver of the day, gotta give it to Justin Haley. Nice solid 3rd place finish for him. Really solid race for him and Collard Racing as well. Noah Gragson was on pace to have a nice solid top 10, top 15 finish, but then he kind of got high at one point during the late racing, and I don't think he even finished in the top 15. I'm not really sure. I'll check back again, but really cool for Justin Haley. Another 3rd place finish for him in the number 31 team, and for Noah Gragson, he finished 21st, so that kind of sucked, but really good finish for the 31 car. And then at the end of the day, overall driver of the day, I'm going to give it to Tyler Reddick, because really one of the best cars all day long, qualified really well, led a ton of laps, and just held off a hard-charging Joey Logano to get the win. Even with 5 laps to go with the vibration trouble, still able to get the win. So really cool for Reddick and the A-Team. Now let's take a look at the playoff standings. So now, here are the playoff standings coming out of Texas and going into Talladega next week. We have Joey Logano plus 30 above the cut line, Chastain plus 18, Byron plus 17, Larson plus 16, Blaney plus 15, Hamlin plus 8, then you have Suarez plus 4, and Elliott plus 4. Then we have the cut line right here. Minus 4 below the cut line is Chase Briscoe, minus 11, Austin Cindric, minus 29 is Christopher Bell, and minus 30 is Alex Bowman. Right now, Alex Bowman and Christopher Bell, we could say they're a must-win situation right now, because minus 29 and 30 is not good. I'd say that Austin Cindric and Chase Briscoe could still point their way in. If you're Hamlin, Suarez, and Elliott, you are currently not really that safe. And then Blaney, too, you're not really that safe, but I think you still have a pretty good cushion to where you just have another good points day. You could be potentially locked in to the next round after Talladega, but Talladega is Talladega. It's really crazy. And Byron not Byron, but Bowman and Bell, I would say if they have a really good race, and then some other playoff drivers have a really bad race, they could be back into it to where they would just have to point their way in. But as of right now, I would say they're currently in a must-win situation. So we'll have to see. Bowman, Talladega hasn't really been kind of Bell, not really a restricted plate driver. And then road courses, they're both pretty good road course drivers. So, but I don't know if they're better than like a Tyler Reddick or Chase Elliott or Kyle Larson even win one. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Right now, anything can happen. We've seen crazier things. Still, no playoff driver has won a playoff race yet. Could they be 0 for 5 going after Talladega? We'll wait and see. But that's going to do it for today. So guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. If you guys want to check out my gaming channel, NASCAR Gaming 48, link will be down in the description below. I just uploaded my reaction to the NASCAR 21 Ignition 22 expansion and also the NASCAR Heat 522 update. So if you want to check that out, link to my gaming channel will be in the description below. Also, my Instagram will also be down in the description below. And subscribe to this channel, guys. I haven't really been frequent on uploads. I decided to stop doing the predictions series for this year because I just cannot really keep up with it and stuff, so I really do apologize with that. So hopefully I can come back and regain and be fully scheduled with that next year. But yeah, that's gonna do it for that. So thank you guys so much for watching. I will have my vlog up from what I've seen at Texas up later this week, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And also the diecast I got from Texas, I mean, you've seen most of them in this video, like the Larson and the Byron and the Elliott, they are new, and you saw a couple others as well, and the Blaney right there too. So you'll see throughout the stuff, because like the diecast videos haven't really gotten as much views, so I kind of stopped making as much and stuff just for my own purpose, but I'll still make some here in the near distant future. But that's gonna do it for today, so see you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day. This is NASCAR Mobile 48. Peace out.